I know you've been asking yourself, where has Gabe been? I am told that Gabe is making a triumphant return here in moments. We are going to do a segment with rising new media star Gabe. He will be before Ricky Williams picks the game. Ricky Williams is asked for the first time ever. I just can't believe it. He's asked to come on the show and do something. So first we will have the opener of Gabe, and then we will go to Ricky Williams. We have to do against the spread, and we have to celebrate that God Bless Football is about to kick ass all over the Super Bowl. For Diana Rossini to get there and be jealous of Stugatz's setup, that's not a normal thing. I wanted to, before I go any further, though, I've been negligent in not doing this. The Cotes have gone with some employees here as a ritual of real bonding and trust. They've gone golfing with Taylor and others. And thank you, by the way, Izzy, for stepping in for David Sampson. David Sampson had to step out to do something with Danny Cannell. That'll be a likable conversation.
You're welcome.
Greg Cote and Chris Cote going with Taylor golfing. What happened here? Because I was told that Greg Cote almost got into a fight.
Well, no, actually, there's two things here. I played a prank on my dad that we can get to. I actually, and my dad is part of this, I technically almost got into a fight. But let me tell the story here. So in golf, one of the worst things you can do is hit the ball up onto the group that's in front of you. So we were on a par 5. I'm 250 yards away. That's a long way to hit the ball. There's a group on the green.
I mean, hold on a second. Hold on.
I'm just trying to give a little context of why I
Was it necessary?
Painted a picture.
No, I'm saying I was 250. I didn't say the ball I hit.
You're teeing off?
No, I'm in the
You're
fairway,
in the fairway
on a
okay.
par 5, and there's
Second shot.
250 to get to the green.
How far did your drive go?
It was like a 400, probably like 280 drive.
It's a long par 5, okay.
There's the look at me, Louis.
It's a.
that the
I'm trying
longest
to
hole
give
on the
context.
course?
It was a very long hole on the course.
Okay.
This is a par 5. I'm trying to reach in 2. I'm hitting a 3-wood off the deck. All right.
Is this like a straight shot, or are you going like a
straight shot?
Okay.
No dog leg here.
No dog
So
leg,
I
got
need
it.
to hit the shot of my life to reach the green. Most of the time, I'm going to come up 20, 30 yards
You
short
hitting
here.
a hybrid or like a 5-iron?
I'm hitting a 3-wood.
Oh, okay.
So it's basically I can wait. This has been a slow round, a lot of waiting.
Very
I can
slow.
wait to let those guys move. Chances are I'm not going to hit them. So you know what? I'm going to speed this up. I'm going to hit. What do? I hit the shot of my life. I'm going to say it. I nut it. I nutted this golf ball. It is, as soon as I hit it, you can ask Taylor, I said, oh, because I was just like, I got it. And, you know, there are two ways to run it up on people. You can land it 20 yards and it rolls into there. That's not as, no one's really going to get hurt there. Or there's, and the ball like lands and you're like, holy, almost just died. That's what happened. It landed on the green. So I am like, I'm throwing up the international sign for holy, I'm so sorry. But
I don't believe that's the international sign for that. I think that's just a guy being held up at gunpoint.
Well,
You've
I'm
got
just
your
telling you,
arms over your head.
It was like I was doing the thing where I grabbed my chest, arms up from 250 yards away. That's
Careful.
the sign for.
Notice how you
just
can do
both
that
my
without it
arms,
looking like
both
an
my
eye.
arms, both my arms, not just one. So the guy, this is where the aggression comes in. The guy's reaction on the green, he's like a young guy my age, looks like a tough guy. He grabs the ball, just chucks it into the water.
Oh, no.
What?
He takes the ball,
That's
and
what I
I
would
just
do.
see the motion, just
Oh,
chucking
no.
it into the water.
Oh, no.
And I'm sitting here saying, look, what I just did was extremely rude.
Yeah.
So I kind of get it. And then this is where my dad comes into the equation.
I thought he had your back and came rushing into the scenario. Now I'm afraid of a Don Zimmer, Pedro Martinez
This
situation.
is exactly. I am sitting there being like, I understand it. I was just like, I'm an asshole. It was a mistake by me. I shouldn't have done it. Greg Cote over here, 70-year-old Greg Cote, once he finds out the guy threw my golf ball, puffs his chest out, and it's just like, I had to essentially hold my dad
great.
back.
It's great.
From going to yell at this guy on my behalf, where then I would have had to be
That's right.
defending my dad.
Yes, that's how rage and family bonds work, so that someone gets killed by a golf club on a golf course.
I mean, granted, should the guy have thrown my ball in the water? Probably not.
Yes.
But I understood it. I got it.
Now, that is just the reaction of fear. If something whizzes past your ear that is dangerous, you want instant revenge.
And it's
Okay.
worse of the two options at Chris, because if it would trickle up to the green, somebody
Right.
would be like, hey, easy, we're still up here. But this guy's imagining it hitting him directly
Yeah.
on the head, which
Yeah.
probably would have killed him.
But it didn't. On the international scale of assholism, okay, throwing someone else's ball into the water outranks hitting somebody else, like
That's
hitting
crazy.
into somebody else.
I think they're pretty similar.
I agree with Greg. Like you obviously made a mistake, and he had every right to be angry. But picking up your ball and throwing it into the water is
Juvenile
kind of
behavior.
insane. I've never seen someone do that.
It
before.
was juvenile. Like
Juvenile.
I'm not saying what he did was great. It just wasn't. I did enough to him that I wasn't gonna get angry at him. I was just like, you know what? We're even. I'll drop another golf ball on the green. Like I don't give a. And Dad, of course, steam coming out of his ears, wants to fight on my behalf.
Well, postscript, I ran over the guy with a golf cart.
That's not true.
Okay, I have two questions here. I have two questions here because I need to hear more first about this international scale of assholism because we need to form whatever it is that is. But I also need to know, your son is deeply apologetic, clearly did not intend to do that. But I know that in the instances when I am most enraged and act outside of my behavior, it is at least in part usually because I've been startled by something that then scared me. For example, the number of fights that people have wanted to try to have with me because my dog is afraid of skateboarders. And my dog just reacts very, like it barks, scares them. And now I'm pulling on the leash. There's never any actual danger, but the skateboarders are just angry. And now they're coming at me because they're just mad. And you get scared. Some people react that way. And so you're apologizing for something. You're deeply sorry.
International sign.
But now it's not the international sign. That is not the international sign for I'm sorry. It's you rubbing your nipples and then throwing your hands in the air, and I don't believe.
If you have to mouth "my bad," it doesn't count as a universal symbol.
I did it. It's a long hole. I hit a 3-wood like 250 yards.
Chris, you got to do
Universal.
like the flat like Midwest smile and hold your hand up like
Oh, just like
Yeah, that's true. That's a
head
good
down
one.
with
Yeah.
like a wave.
international.
Head
Yeah.
down with a wave.
Is this different by region? The pantomimed apology from a distance that might not be seen or visible for 250 yards if someone has bad eyesight and is just mad about a whizzing golf ball. Because the other question I had is this the greatest of the golf etiquette affronts? Like in terms of things that you have to apologize for, is there a greater breach than hitting a golf ball into the group of people in front of you because you haven't had the patience or the self-awareness about your game to know that that's not something we do in golf?
The only thing worse would be looking for your golf ball in like a bush for like 15 minutes.
Or
Like,
really slow play
you
because
get-
somebody's using an exploding golf ball.
You get 2 minutes. That's another thing. You know what? We should get to that right now. Let's play this video.
Oh, wow, there's an exploding golf
I
ball
pranked my
situation?
dad. The audio here will set it up. My dad's about to tee off, and you can hear me, set it up for the audience what's happening here. I switched my dad's golf ball with one of those exploding golf balls. This ball's about to explode. Ball explodes.
It's a good prank. It's a good prank.
You slipped one on him, huh?
Yeah.
When did you do that?
When you were looking at the ducks.
Oh my God.
I was trying for multiple holes. Every time my dad would walk up to the tee box, I was like, I need to get him. He puts his tee down, his ball on the tee, and I got to distract him. I'm like, Dad, look at that house over there. What do you think that costs? Greg's, look at those ducks. Have you seen those ducks before? And I got him on the ducks after like 3 tries. So he's just like, actually, those are ugly. Those aren't ugly ducks. Those are great. And as he's like rambling about ducks, I bent over real fast, switched his ball out for an exploding one. Oh, it was epic.
We're going to do against the spread in a second, and we do have to get to Gabe, but I do want to ask you guys the hypothetical because everyone objected. Everyone said, well, the greater crime is throwing the ball into the lake. That's the greater crime. But if you'd hit someone in the head and then they threw the ball in the lake, would you then be more okay with it?
They probably would have died. That's the point of their anger. Like, I think I was kind of joking about the looking for ball. There's nothing worse in golf that you can do is fly it into a green where someone's on, where like you're endangering their life.
You were obviously in the wrong in this situation.
Right.
There's no dispute.
Which
But
is why I did.
was the reaction appropriate? Is the
Oh no,
is
I
correct,
see.
and it was not.
I can say, okay, he overreacted a little bit, but it's not to the point where I'm gonna go. He threw my golf ball.
Well,
That's
that was
It's
what
happening.
that's what your
We're
dad
fighting.
did. That's what your dad did.
That's what I mean. Like,
That's
I'm
what-
not gonna do that. I
How
don't
old
give
was
a
this
shit.
guy? Was he like
He was
your-
probably my age, but he
Okay.
was like, he looked like he's not someone I was excited to go run up and have an altercation
He
with.
stole your property. At the very least.
I endangered his life.
You know, I think that's extreme too, though. You keep making this a death, and I'm
Dan,
like,
from
I feel
250,
like
you take a golf ball to the head from 250.
Okay, yes, but that's a dead eye shot. Like, yes, but
Literally,
I suppose that could indeed happen. Yes, from 250. I'm just saying you're not hearing about a lot of golf ball deaths.
Oh, knock on
Chris,
wood.
Chris, you hit the shot of your life, though.
Oh, I
How
nutted
great
that
was
thing,
that?
dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God! As soon as I
It was
hit
And
it,
the reason is because as golfers, we live in a society. We have a code. We don't do what Chris did.
I just can't tell you how much I enjoy the idea of the shot of your life immediately ending in both apology and your father headed to a fight. Like, that's not the way the emotions of all of that should go. It should just be the shot of your life. Thankfully, you had your rage-filled father in tow, and I need to get to this international scale of assholery. But
and
first,
I got Uncle Dick over here, just like, what happened?
yeah, that's
Greg, what happened? Where'd you hit it up there? He didn't catch any of it.
That's a great dick.
Did Uncle Dick have any reaction to the exploding golf ball?
Well, yeah, I mean, he was just like, when'd you do that?
Yeah, okay. He gets fooled by
He kind of
things
has the
he
same
said.
response to everything.
All right, let's do against the spread here before we get to Gabe. Let's hurry up and do this. You don't have it? You
It's
weren't
buffery.
ready
I
for
hit
it?
the- No,
You
I
weren't
hit
ready
it.
for
That's right. It's time for Against the Spread.
We have to do better in a contract.
And it's
here.
brought to you by DraftKings
It's
Sportsbook.
Super Bowl week. We have to do better.
DraftKings. The crown is yours. Jeremy, what do we got? I'll take over music.
The Florida Panthers are on the road against the Washington Capitals. And while you might be thinking, going on the road to Washington, a really good team, the Panthers have won 3 in a row. Washington has lost 3 out of their last 4. We're taking the Florida Panthers -1.5 against the spread.
Are you purposely delivering that in extra broadcastery voice?
Izzy, what do you got?
Yes, we are. Bump, 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 bump.
I picked the game just so I can tell Dan LeBatard how to pronounce Amen Thompson. It's Amen and Sar. Just go every time you want to talk about them. Houston is at Brooklyn. They are 9.5-point favorites. Brooklyn loses every game by double figures these days. I just want to remind everybody that I told you about Amen Thompson first, and everybody who's been glazing him ever since, you can thank me for putting him out there.
You're putting that flag
Houston
out
Rockets
there first.
-9.5. Yes, putting that flag out there.
You said it before Steven Adams said he's the most athletic player he's ever played with, including Russell Westbrook.
That is correct, and I'm also going to remind everybody, Steven Adams is 31 years old.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Do we have anything else for this? Any other music? The music is dead.
Back to you, Dan.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy, for all of your efforts there in both song and broadcastery sing-song.
You're welcome.
We are going out now to Rising Star Gabe. I am told that he has a top 5 list. I don't know. Gabe, how do you feel about your first appearance on the show a couple of hours ago where you were given a hot take? How do you feel about how you did? Do you have any regret there, or are you happy with your performance?
No regrets. I think I did pretty well.
All
given the
right.
circumstances.
Okay, excellent.
Woo!
So now we've got a top 5 list. What is this top 5 list as Gabe tries to climb into superstardom today on a Greg Cote Tuesday? It's his day to shine. What do you have? Top 5 list of what?
Top 5 Gabes.
Classic.
All right.
Nice.
Self-involved. Okay. Any OLI or just we're going straight through the 5?
Oh, I have OLIs.
All right. Go ahead. What is your first OLI?
The Archangel Gabriel.
Oh, yeah. Wow. OLI for the Archangel. Okay. We're still buffering. Okay. All right. Let's see if we got. Wow. For you over here. Go ahead, Gabe. What else do you have OLI?
And last OLI, Gabe Kapler.
Okay.
The enthusiasm is electric.
Yeah, this is what Gabe brings to the program, the enthusiasm and energy you generally associate with a Gabe. Number 5.
Number 5, Gabe from The Office.
So you did say Gabe Kapler,
Underrated.
not Gabe Kaplan, right? Not Welcome Back Cotter, but the Rangers manager, the guy who's incredibly buff. All right.
Correct.
Number 4.
Number 4, Gabriel Iglesias.
Okay, yeah, Fluffy. the
Fluffy.
comedian.
Gabe, though.
He was going to deliver
Yeah,
Fluffy.
not-
Good job, Gabe.
Okay, not a lot of Gabes out there.
You can't include Gabriel in our best Gabe list.
Yes, you must.
No, it's different names.
No, they're the same name.
No, if you're doing best Thomases, you don't want to throw in a Tom or a Tommy.
Gabe, what's your full name?
Gabriel.
Number 3.
Number 3, Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
Hey, go Knights.
Number 2.
Number 2, Gabe Vincent.
Okay, excellent. Excellent enunciation.
All right.
And the final,
suspense is
number,
killing
wow,
me.
the number 1, Gabe, put it on the poll. Are we still making Gabes? Hold on a second. Everybody get ready. Number 1?
Number 1, me.
don't know
What a
Gabe
debut.
Kaplan at all.
I love that he had to read that off his piece of paper.
What a debut.
Legend.
Ricky Williams is exceedingly human and demands that his human interactions be meaningful and not just be, let's get right to work. So everyone say hello to Ricky here before we get started so he can have maximum chemistry with our room here.
Hi, Ricky.
Hello, Ricky.
All right, so you've got Jessica, you got Chris, you've got Roy, and you've got the historic situation where Ricky has requested to come on today. Never in my history with Ricky has he ever desired to be on any of the shows that I'm on, and he certainly hasn't asked. It's always me asking him to come on, but this time he's asked to come on with us. Why is this, Ricky? Why are you desiring to do this? This is something in our career, in my lifetime with you have never done before.
Because it's the time of year where we get to predict who's going to win the Super Bowl.
Excellent. Excellent. Ricky's Pickies is what we're doing here. Yes, he wants to pick the Super Bowl through astrological signs. Before we do that, though, I have some football questions to ask you. Is that okay? I need to.
Please. Please.
Well, Myles Garrett just recently here yesterday requested a trade from the Browns. Have you, in your experience, ever requested a trade? Have you known a teammate who has requested a trade? In your time in football, was it even allowed to request a trade?
Yeah, I mean, it was considered taboo. I mean, you weren't a locker room guy if you decided to request a trade. I mean, there are times where I wanted to request a trade, but I didn't feel like I could. So I was always envious of the guys who had the courage to ask for what they wanted.
When did you want most to ask for a trade? It had to be during one of those 400 carry seasons.
Actually, it wasn't. It was pretty much day one in New Orleans. I mean, I feel like when I went to the press conference when Coach Ditka had the dreads on, that would have. I know you traded all those picks, but
it would have been great at that press conference to get up there and be like, you know what? I see these dreadlocks on Coach Ditka. I'm requesting a trade. Why didn't you do that? It would have been so honest. And what a great beginning press conference that would have been. You know what? The dreadlocks offend me, Coach. I'm out of here.
Yeah. I mean, but the reality was, the way I felt is they own me now. They own me.
It's a little extreme. Day one. That is not exactly a dream scenario. I've talked to you a lot over the years about pressure. And I was curious, in this Super Bowl, when you go through the astrological charts, is there a sign more equipped, better equipped for pressure than other signs?
It's the same sign or the same astrological archetype that makes someone a football player. So it's Mars. It's the god of war. Is when the bullets are flying, who has the ability to keep their mind straight and aim accurately and hit the enemy. And so any great football player, I think the way we define greatness in football is who has the ability to perform under pressure. And so in Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, what we call fire signs, are the signs most equipped to handle pressure.
Is there a least likely? Because Sagittarius, when I look at the Super Bowl MVPs here, I've got Tom Brady's a Leo. I have Aaron Rodgers is a Sagittarius. Von Miller is Aries. Is there a sign that's weaker than all the other signs under pressure?
We'd say water signs they're more emotional, and if they don't feel good, they kind of will shut off. But of course, there's exceptions to the rule, but across the board, water signs would be the ones.
I don't know what that is. Forgive my ignorance. For those who
Cancer, Pisces, and it's a water sign, but it's a fiery water sign, Scorpio. So I'd say Pisces and Cancer would be the two signs least likely to do great under pressure.
Thanks, Ricky.
Malcolm Smith was a Super Bowl MVP as a Cancer, a real upset story then, right? If he does it as a Cancer. Can you walk me through, because we were just talking about Myles Garrett here, when you thought of physical specimen, either inside of your locker room or on the other side of the ball, where you're like, holy, that guy is unbelievable as an athlete. I mean, you were that to a lot of people because of your speed and lower body, but were there many you were running into where you were like, that Myles Garrett, that's crazy what's happening over there?
We played Julius Peppers. one year when I was in Miami, and Jake Long, our tackle was out, and so just looking at Julius Peppers and how massive he was, and we couldn't block him. It's like the whole game was over from one player on the field.
That hadn't happened to you? When was the last time that on any level had happened to you where you're running out on the field and that's what it feels like? Because Myles Garrett is a good deal better than Julius Peppers, and I'd say that as no insult to Julius Peppers.
Yeah. Well, there's maybe he is, we have the generational debates, but Julius Peppers, I never had that experience where one person on the field could really dominate the entire game.
Ricky, you mentioned Jake Long. One time I was at a club in Fort Lauderdale. This was at the peak of Jake Long with the Dolphins, and him and his friends were walking out of the club as me and my friends were approaching. My friends and me, a lot smaller than Jake Long and his friends, and he did the thing of, like, we were walking by him, and he's like, whoa, big fella's coming through. Watch out. And he mocked me and my friends just for how we just looked walking past his group of friends.
Smaller than them.
Like, whoa, big guy's coming in the club. And I was just like, hello, Jake Long. Big fan.
Yeah.
That is a sad phrase.
No question. Just wanted to share a little story.
At the peak of Jake Long is such a at the peak of Jake Long was so just a sad time in life. Walking into the club at the peak of Jake Long. Do you know, Chris? Are you aware that Ricky is my wife's astrologer? Spends twice. He's an instructor. You'd be surprised at how many of our listeners have come out and visited Ricky. In Grass Valley. He's got an unusual relationship with an assortment of our listeners because they come out and spend a weekend with you sometimes, right, Ricky?
Yeah. I've had a bunch of we do retreats out here, and I've had a bunch of people come. I think we've had almost 20 in the past year, and 90% of them found me through these conversations. So it's been great, a way for me to get to know fans on a deeper level, and it's great to be able to have astrological conversations with other sports fans. It's been fun.
Ricky, how odd is Dan with it? Does he like sit in the corner and watch you and Valerie?
I'm not there. I'm not.
I mean, you nailed it. He's pretty bad at it, But I will say, Valerie's really good, because in order to be good at astrology, you have to have a lot of curiosity, And so, yeah, he sits in the corner, he waves and says hi, and then he comes in and does his, joke, and then Valerie fake laughs, and I smile, and then he's like, all right, and then he goes.
He does a joke?
Fake
it's
laugh,
what we were all
burn.
picturing, yeah.
Well, you got me standing in a corner. Like, what you guys have me standing in a corner, and you're creeping me out with the visual image of me standing in a corner. You know how hard that is to do? Well, sitting in a corner, whatever, just
not better.
Nearby but not involved, just sort of watching voyeuristically. Like, the thing that you guys are describing is a bit insulting to me.
It's like Jerry Falwell Jr.-esque.
Yes. Yeah, well, you cucked me. Let's just say it. Let's just
what
say
we said back here.
Yeah, you were just saying it privately.
Verbatim.
I saw it on your face. I saw it on all your faces. All of you were laughing. Cuck. Ha, 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 ha. You were all laughing. Look
Why
at
can't you read your own wife's astrology sign?
Well, we got a master teacher here. You got a guy. Look, your curiosity is endless on this stuff because what he's doing is trying to figure out the secrets of the universe. But how often, Ricky, when you're here trying to pick games, you've said before that this is not that. This isn't the science of predictive behavior. So what part of the game is interesting to you, or what part of the astrological impact on the game is interesting to you?
Well, it's interesting to me that as I used to be a pundit. I did a little football, a little TV stuff, and people would, ask me to predict the game. What's going to be the score based on what you've seen? What do you think? But from an astrological perspective, it's not a consideration of what do I think. It's when I ask the question, what does the chart say is going to happen? In the olden days, they would cut open a goat or a sheep, and then they would look at its entrails and its liver and its intestines, and based on that, they would say, this is what's going to happen, or this side of this country or this nation is going to win the battle. But with an astrological chart, I asked a question, and it's a cool technique because it's from the moment you ask the question, you look at the chart for that moment, and it gives you the answer. And so I was thinking about what is the moment where I'm going to ask the question, and what question am I going to ask? And I decided the question I was going to ask is, are the Chiefs going to win again? That's the question. And when am I going to ask the question? So I said, I'm just going to wait until it feels like it's the right moment to ask the question. My son Blaze was in town this weekend, and he came over and he said, who do you got in the game next week? And I was like, okay, this is the time to ask the question. So I went on my phone and I created a chart for that moment in Grass Valley, California, where I live. And I looked at the chart to determine who's going to win the game. So it takes away anything I know about football, and it goes straight to the stars. It goes straight to divination to decide who's going to win the game. And to me, that's cool.
And you feel like you have the science of this. You feel like you don't even have to watch the game, that you can have a general outline from the universe through the charts of that feels predictive to you. By the way, the group laughed, not surprisingly, at the learning that your son's name is Blaze.
Yeah. I didn't choose his name. It's his middle name, but he goes by Blaze. And his mom chose the name, but it was obvious what we were doing when we made him.
Do you have a daughter named Mary Jane?
Marley. Her name's Marley.
Marley, okay.
Yeah.
Another son, Keith.
I didn't choose Blaze's name, but yeah.
Okay.
I can't. I mean, it's a cool name, but I can't take credit for it.
It is a cool name. How many of those do you want to do? Because I just did. I thought it would be funny to limp in with Doobie.
His favorite basketball player's name is Bol Bol.
Yeah, it's just stupid. Yes, way to go! Congratulations. Thank you. You're going to applaud and leave the room. What do? No.
Hey.
No, you don't deserve to give yourself that sound. Get out of here. You can't do that. All right, so what does the chart say, Ricky? What is interesting about and take us through the details that you're using.
Okay, perfect. All right, so there's this kind of astrology is called horary astrology, meaning you look at the hour and it gives you the answer. And in the general rules, if the chart shows 29 degrees, they'd say it's not a good time to read the chart because it means something is about to end. All right, that's the general rule. So when I pulled up the chart, it was 29 degrees Leo. And Leo is the sign of royalty. So my interpretation was 29 degrees Leo means the end of a dynasty.
Woo!
All right, that's the first. It was clear to me. It was clear. It was like a clear image. End of the dynasty. And then another technique you'd use is on the left side of the chart, it represents the team you're asking about. And because my question were, are the Chiefs going to win? Left side of the chart represents the Chiefs. Right side of the chart represents the Eagles. And in the chart, there's a lot more planets on the right side of the chart, which means that the Eagles have more power. So another indication that maybe the Eagles are going to win. And then I looked, and there's for the Chiefs, that there's a lot of energy for prestige, and they're the Chiefs. And the planet Uranus, which is a planet of things changing really quickly, going back and forth, being unpredictable, was really strong also. So my interpretation is that it's going to seem like the Chiefs are going to win, and then something crazy, some reversal is going to happen, maybe towards the end of the game, and the Eagles win, and it's the end of a dynasty.
Do you realize that if this is correct, this will be the single strangest gambling segment ever produced by anybody in the history of gambling? And I really badly want this to be something that we do regularly, because you knock it out of the park with some sort of refereeing decision at the end of the game costs the Chiefs a dynasty. You feel like you have confidence in what you're saying. You believe that this is already kind of ordained from what you're reading. It's what the chart says.
Well, I mean, this is something, and the reason I reached out and I'm excited about it is because this horary astrology thing, it's been around for forever, and I've known about it forever. But just in the past month or so, I've taken a deeper interest into it. So I can't say I'm an expert, but I can trust myself to learn. So I feel like if I have an opportunity to throw it out there, put it out, and there's something there that it could turn into something very valuable, because where astrology and football overlap, no doubt, is gambling. And as I think about how to use astrology for gambling, it's not about looking at the individual's charts, because you can't go inside of someone's head and know how they're going to handle some kind of situation. But this horary astrology was specifically built to answer these kinds of questions. And even as I get better and better at this, and someone who knows football and learns a little bit of this technique, they can use it to be able to help themselves gamble. Because like the more you understand the game and the more you understand what the chart is saying, you can see when it's saying something and when it's not. And because they're not saying that this technique works every time, but if you learn when it works and when it doesn't, someone could make a whole lot of money gambling on games.
Jessica, are you assuming that most of the audience is listening to this and saying, is the Dan LeBatard Show with Stugotz through DraftKings trying to go through the stars and Ricky Williams to tempt me to make a bet? That feels like a bit of a cheapening of what it is that Ricky is doing through the science and the stars to have him close to whether or not the Eagles are going to win or not.
I think they're still laughing at the cuck jokes.
Yeah, they probably are. What is the room that you're in right now, Ricky? Because I want to take a guess. I'm going to say a business center at a Hilton.
No, it's my office upstairs in my house.
That looks way more antiseptic than I would have thought that the business that your office would have looked in your house. I would have thought that it would have had more Ricky flair. It looks like something that doesn't have a lot of personality. It's just an office.
So if I showed you the rest of the office, you would change your mind. Like, so right here, I have a picture. I have on the wall. I have pictures of me and all my mentors and spiritual teachers, and then over there is all Linnеa's astrology merchandise stuff. We have essential oils all lined right here. Have my crystals right here. So this is the one boring place, because right back here, right behind the chairs where I do my yoga. So I try to keep this area.
Well, Chris Cote just said, wow, you really insulted Ricky. I'm like, well, no, I kind of know that usually if he's in his office, it's probably got a little bit of personality. Like I wouldn't think that he would go antiseptic and be wanting to spend a lot of time in a place that doesn't have at least something.
I imagine that his setup is he can spin it around. If he's like, I'm joining a fun podcast, I got this background.
Can you do it? Can you take us? Can this camera angle be moved in any way? No, you just go. You go most traditional.
This is it. This is my. Some people think it's more like a made up background, but it's.
Can you grab one of those books? Would you be kind enough to grab one of those books that speaks to you, and just so that we can have a glimpse into, just a minor glimpse into what it is that your life looks like away from the antiseptic chair behind you. The Astrology of Human Relationships is the book. Techniques for guiding or evaluating. I can't see what my
bowl of
glasses.
ramen on the cover?
What is that? It looks like a pizza. It's neither of those things.
It's a snapshot of it's an old drawing of all drawings of the constellations in the sky. I have, I have my cards.
The tarot
right
cards. Yes.
Tarot cards. Yeah.
Crystals.
Tarot cards.
I
have crystals. So these are healing crystals. I have a rose quartz right here, a crystal, regular clear quartz right here. I have something called hape. Some people know what hape is.
Ricky, Chris Cote just whispered in my ear nonsense.
Well, no, it's
the healing crystals are nonsense.
Like if I stub my toe and I'm holding that, like is it less pain? Like explain what's going on here.
No, healing crystals are used that way. If you go outside on a really hot day and you lean on a rock, right, and it's kind of hot. So stones, minerals, they're like batteries. They can hold heat or cold. They can hold energy. And so, like you feel a heaviness in your stomach. And anyone can experiment with this. Anytime you notice I feel heaviness in my chest or heaviness in my stomach, and you take a crystal and you put it close to that area, and you can ask the crystal, can you get rid of this heaviness for me? And just keep it there for a couple of minutes. And afterwards, see, does it feel better? Does it feel the same? Or does it feel worse?
Chris,
that's an experiment that anyone can do.
On Super Bowl Sunday, when we have heartburn, we should get crystals and ask it to cure our acid reflux.
If you don't have a crystal, would a AA battery work?
You can try it. I mean, you could try anything. But just the history over time, people have recorded that crystals have have the capacity to hold stuff. And again, the best example is you put a crystal outside in the sun and you pick it up, it's retaining the heat.
Ricky, you just said you have to ask the crystal. Do you actually have to talk to this crystal?
You don't have to speak verbally, but you can speak mentally to the crystal, because obviously a crystal can't talk.
Ricky, you're always very kind when met with what feels like disrespectful skepticism. You're just very gentle about never getting insulted by it.
Well, because I've been there. I've been to the point where I saw someone doing that. I was like, that's stupid and that's crazy and that doesn't make any sense. And then part of me was like, how do you know? And so I experimented with it and I was like, whoa, I felt something. And if I felt something, I was curious and I would just go down a rabbit hole and find every piece of information I can find that helps understand how the hell that just happened. And if it makes sense, I'll stick with it. If it doesn't, I'll let it go. So I can be kind because I've been there.
Do you have anything else in the charts that would foretell or that we need to know as part of this new segment, Ricky's Pickies?
I love this. And it's not that people would change their bet, but if someone was like, I had that same thought, right? That those people, I say double down, okay? The other thing is Saquon. Saquon's birthday is, I think, a day or two after the Super Bowl. And in the chart, in the Eagles, the part that represented the Eagles was Aquarius. And Saquon is an Aquarius. So I'd say that probably means we're going to see a whole lot of Saquon. Okay. And if I were choosing an MVP, I would choose Saquon.
Okay, so those are the picks right there.
Him and Greg Cote.
He's being very firm about it's Philadelphia as an underdog. It's Saquon. The dynasty ends. What were you going to ask him, Chris?
I was wondering, we sent Lucy to a Texas game a couple months back. How did that go? Because you guys were on the sideline together. How did that go?
That was awesome. She was trying to get me, and I think because I know she came from you guys, she was trying to get me to run on the field. And I think she was serious.
And I think you were seriously considering it, too, at one point, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. I had this awareness that every time Dan and I do something together, I always get in trouble. So that was the end result for me. Is if I hang around Dan, I'm gonna end up in a wedding dress on the cover of a magazine, and it's just gonna give me trouble.
This was not my idea. This was not my idea.
I imagine you put Lucy and Ricky in a group text and was like, hey, you two do something
yes,
together.
But after Ricky was upset that I asked Ricky for simply a favor to help Meadowlark Media get a credential because Lucy was having trouble getting credential to a game. So I merely asked Ricky to help me with a credential, and he went the extra mile of looking for that trouble. Like, Ricky was offended that I didn't come up with the creative idea to collaborate on trouble. So, like, you blame it on me, but there's something about you that also gravitates toward it. So I'm guessing our signs.
It's us.
It's us. It's our
us. It's a we. It's a we thing. But just to clarify the story, is if you would have come to me first and said, "Hey, take her to the game," then no one would have ever gotten in trouble. But because I had to ask for the credential and get denied, then it was. Yes, it was my idea, but it was a good idea. But when I showed up to my good friend John Bianco, who denied the credential claim, and Lucy and the producer were right next to me, I was kind of like.
They walked on the field behind you without credentials.
I will say it was awesome to throw my weight around a little bit because they had all this extra security, and I was like, I'm just gonna see what I can get away with, and I just walked through, and everyone's like, "Hey, Rick. Hey, Ricky. Hey."
You violated every college football television contract with credential-less. It makes me wonder if you could have just walked on the field nude and nobody would have stopped you, because that field is about to be named after you, isn't it? Well,
the field is the Campbell Williams field. And I think if I walked out there nude, they would have started and they would have stopped and then they would have started again. I think it would give him a second of pause of wait a minute. Wait a minute.
They wouldn't have tackled you as quickly as they tackled any other nude person. You would be tackled more slowly than any nude person not named Earl Campbell.
A stiff arm.
It depends. If I had cleats on, it would have taken a while to catch for sure.
Put it on the poll at LeBatardShow. If a nude Ricky Williams was running from security on the Campbell Williams field, would it take a while to catch him? I'm sorry for my ignorance that I didn't know that field was named after you already. I thought it was en route to. How long has it been named after you?
Almost 5 years.
That is terrible ignorance on my part, but you should be able to throw your weight around on a field named after you. Put that on the poll as well, JuJu. Should you be able to throw your weight around on a field named after you? That had to feel good.
Yeah, I did. I was throwing our weight around. It wasn't just me. It was both of us.
That's a lot of weight. It's a lot of weight. I can't believe you guys just have me in the corner watching their astrology work together. Like
not every man can read their wife's horoscope, Dan.
Ricky,
okay.
good
It's
seeing
nothing to be
you.
ashamed of.
Thank you for being on. Good spending this time with you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Greg tapping to start the post.
Greg,
I'm sorry.
are you tapping? What are you typing so eagerly right now?
What is in your throat?
Yeah, it's a fine Venmo. If I'm being truthful, I was trying to get off my plate a loose end, a quick
Again with the loose ends.
a quick text Miami Herald related, but I apologize. I didn't know that my soft typing was audible.
I didn't know that lunch was still in my throat. My forgiveness, please. I solicit your forgiveness for being disgusting. It's a piece of chicken with a little pita. We didn't have very much time here. A lot of people are sick. It's a lot of excuse making. Sugats's mom died. God Bless Football is on Radio Row, and part of the celebration will be bringing in Pablo Torre, David Sampson, every reinforcement that Meadowlark has, so that over the next 3 days you get maximum Super Bowl coverage. JuJu, I made a terrible mistake earlier in the show, and I promised something here that puts you in a terribly awkward position. So before I put Jeremy's work in front of you and ask you for an honest appraisal of that work, I want to acknowledge what the awkward position is, and I will offer on the front end, do you want to partake in this as an assessment, or do you just want me to play the music again without comment from you, or would you just prefer I not play Jeremy's rap song again?
I want you to do whatever makes the world happy, whatever makes you the boss, brother. So if you want to play it, let's play it. My opinion does not matter one bit.
I disagree with that. I brought you on in order to get an honest assessment of this.
Really like to know your opinion.
Okay,
JuJu.
but I don't know.
really would like to know.
Well, but I don't know if we want his honest opinion. It puts JuJu in a bad spot as someone who doesn't want to be a hater at any time. I'm just saying. I'm not even saying. As soon as I heard the song, I'm like, I wonder what JuJu thinks of this. And then I thought, I don't think it's going to be positive. And now I'm going to put him in the spot where he has to speak ill of somebody's work who put themselves out vulnerably.
You wouldn't put someone in that spot.
This feels like, hey, JuJu, hi. Hey, it's Pablo. It's me.
What's up, Pablo? How you doing? I love your podcast, man. You kicking ass.
JuJu, thank you. Thank you. I mean that sincerely. I feel like I picked the worst time to pop into studio. It smells of pita. Jeremy's palpably uncomfortable, and I cannot help but contract not just the disease that Dan was alluding to that's been floating around here, but also just the awkwardness from Jeremy.
I think we're single-handedly keeping the Greek food industry alive in South Florida. We order Greek like 4 days a week.
Is that bad? Is that a complaint?
No,
David
like
Sampson
it.
is looking for ways to cut budget, and he thinks we should change up the food. He thinks it's too expensive.
I love Greek the first 5 times I have it in a month. And then by the 6th time, I'm kind of like, I kind of don't want Greek anymore this month.
Okay, an important complaint to be making here during Super Bowl week. JuJu, Greg, give me an opinion. Tell me what I should do here, because I've already put JuJu in the tough spot, and it's hard to have a day where JuJu and the awkwardness that there is here is second on the awkwardness scale behind only Gabe today.
Yeah.
In terms of things that I've done that are awkward.
Okay, when we were playing golf Sunday, Christopher was shocked and flabbergasted that Kendrick Lamar and that song in particular happened to be on one of my Spotify playlists. I liked the song. I thought it was a very clever parody by Jeremy, but I respect JuJu's opinion. I value it, and if he thinks it was offensive or in any way
All right.
not
This
right.
is a bad spot for JuJu. You know what? I'm going to
How
say
about
it
this?
for-
Also, Happy Black History Month, by the way. I don't know.
There you
Can
go.
I still say that?
All right,
Am I
JuJu,
allowed
I'm just
say
going to
that?
ask
Yes.
you. JuJu.
No. Don't ask. Here's what I will speak on behalf of JuJu, and then we will move on. JuJu thinks that's an excellent rap song for the contingent audience of Greg Cote. It was well received by Greg Cote. That's nice for everybody involved. Play the song again. That's enough. What are your thoughts, JuJu, about the Super Bowl halftime show in general? Is there anything that people...
Wait, you're pivoting off of that real quick.
Man, I had gotten generally positive feedback before this.
Happy Greg Cote History Month, by the way.
I like it for Greg Cote.
Yeah, that's my audience.
Hee-haw 3. Like what? You're pleasing the leader of your musical heroism, the singing sports writer. You have reached across the aisle, and the man who invented song on this show grants you approval for your song.
Did a song about sad Radio Road that
All right,
everyone's afraid to play.
I do want to talk for a moment though. Are we expecting anything from the halftime show that is a cultural moment? Like as whatever nerves Kendrick Lamar has about playing the Super Bowl, like this is going to be a pretty special misery on Sunday for Drake. No, like just
I feel like
to just watch this, to have to watch this.
Yeah, the misery has already happened, bro. Like I don't know if you saw the Grammys last week.
Yeah.
He won 5 awards, 5 Grammys, and he won them not necessarily just for him being a great artist. He won them for Not Like Us being a song of the year. He won them for all the stuff that we thought like, dang, would they really play that part? No, they played that part and put the camera on Taylor Swift, and she said out loud, you dig me? You feel like so, and Beyonce, they put like the whole crowd in unison, went crazy. So I feel like these 2 weeks right here are just 2 weeks for Drake to just stay offline, stay in Australia. You know what I mean? Call your mommy, remember who you love. You feel me?
Let's talk about this part of it for a second. When you talk about epic rap beef disasters ending up with a loser having to watch the other on the Super Bowl after winning the Grammys, which is the part in here that hurts the ego most on Drake? Because when the headline of Drake suing the record company because Not Like Us sold too much is not your top embarrassment moment, you have done some major public losing. So where does the Super Bowl, performing this song at the Super Bowl, where does it rank in terms of indignities for Drake on this timeline?
I feel like at the end of the day, I've reached a threshold with Drake. You feel me? Like I don't even like saying his name out loud no more because it's like he benefited from that same system for so long, and then when somebody else got the benefit of that same exact thing that he's accusing them of, I'm not saying that he's not right. His case that UMG didn't do what he said they did, but they've done it for Drake countless times. And now when you hurt, you turn into a Karen, and now you want to report and sue everybody. And I like how UMG has stood on business. They say, look, man. Nah, bro, we not doing none of that. And so I'm a fan of what Kendrick Lamar has done. Like, and he warned you the whole time. Hey, bro, don't tell no lies about me. I'm not gonna rap y'all out. I know y'all don't understand too much of that, but I'm saying Drake was the one who baited Kendrick into this, countless songs after song. And then when it's like whenever Chris Cote hit the ball. I'm a fan of sometimes. You know what? You can't hurt me and then tell me how I supposed to react. You feel me? But at the same time, the second man is always flat in football, so you got to temper your reactions.
I'm just processing still that Drake was in Australia trying to get as far away as possible from the United States to do anything resembling music.
That's what I'm about to do.
And still he was caught. Like the idea that Drake doesn't, he literally has nowhere he can hide is kind of a special thing. I don't know if we've had, I don't know if any beef has resulted in a global surveillance state that will not allow the loser to at least go away. Like, you know?
Right, I mean, but he did the same thing to Meek Mill. He did the same thing with people he beefing before. He went back to back on Meek Mill, and that was a club record.
I am
still.
not here to say that Drake deserves our sympathies. I am just here to point out that it's pretty extreme, and it's therefore very funny, but it is extreme. Like, I don't know if look, Drake doesn't have any friends right now. I don't know what he would be advised. I don't know where you go if you're trying to, prove that you're not bothered by this. But a random bar in Australia. Gotta go further, Drake. You gotta go, I don't know. You gotta go to one of those islands with like 50 people on it.
Once you AI Tupac's voice and you put Snoop's voice on your beef song, like Drake went a lot. He did a lot. You feel me? You can't walk up and punch a bully in his nose and get mad when you get slammed on your head. But salute to everybody involved.
That's right.
And, you know
Salute to everyone, including Jeremy's song. We're going to be positive about Jeremy's song. Before we get to updating the polls real quick here, because Greg Cote is legitimately mad about this. Forgive me for doing this, JuJu. Greg Cote did write a column that the Dolphins should trade for Myles Garrett, and he's mad at me for not allowing him to talk about it seriously. So as you gather yourself here, JuJu, and give us some poll updates, you have the platform now, Greg Cote, to give us your serious Myles Garrett opinion.
Well, it's online if anybody wants to read it in its entirety, but I think what I wrote reflects how desperate the Dolphins should be right now, because they made the playoffs the two previous seasons to this past season when they were 8-9. This team is nowhere close to being a contender in a packed AFC behind Kansas City, behind Baltimore, behind Buffalo, and another handful of teams as good or better.
Their defense was the best in 22 years empirically. You're saying everybody wants to add Myles Garrett.
Their defense was the best in 22 years empirically by some standards. It was not a big play defense. They had 35 sacks, which was in the bottom 5 of the league. They didn't have many interceptions. They were not a big play defense. They don't have any player, even with Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb healthy, they don't have a player who's going to change the way opposing offensive coordinators prepare to play Miami. They don't have anyone who's the best at his position. Tyreek Hill maybe was for his first season. He isn't now. The Dolphins have to be desperate. They have to be bold and desperate, because right now they are not close to being competitive on a Super Bowl level. And if they don't make big swings like Myles Garrett, they're not going to do it with luck and good health and 13th overall picks.
Tomorrow, Miami Herald column, the Dolphins need to get Cooper Kupp?
No. I think quite the opposite. I think
now you've gone too far.
I think I very quickly. I think you oversold Cooper Kupp.
Not that bold. Not that desperate.
Cooper Kupp is not a Hall of Famer. Okay, he isn't yet. At any rate, he had one extraordinary season. He's completely overshadowed by Puka Nacua.
What do you mean
reason.
I oversold him? He won a championship having one of the most historic wide receiver seasons in terms of productivity ever. That's a fact.
As I said, he had one extraordinary season in his 7 or 8 year career.
All right,
that was the only season he made the Pro Bowl. He's a very good receiver who is not a Hall of Fame receiver.
JuJu, forgiveness here. Let's get to the polls. Okay, we
out.
cannot get to the polls. Let's close the post game right there.
From fireside conversations to football Sundays, winter means more moments with the coolest people in your life. Make these moments even better with Miller Lite, the great-tasting light beer for people who love beer. A new year is a perfect time for friends, family, and a great-tasting light beer. Tastes like Miller time. 2024 had its ups, had its downs, had a lot of moments in it. For me, many of those moments, I had a Miller Lite right there by my side. I supplemented my time by making it a Miller time. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. Miller Lite has taste you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just a great beer for people who love beer. Miller Lite is brewed for taste. It hits different than other light beers, and it has simple ingredients like malted barley for rich, balanced toffee note flavors and that iconic golden color. The original light beer since 1975, and still the very best one. Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.